All right, 3, 2, 1. To lay down some ground rules, we're not really going to get into the semantics of what the words cartoon or anime actually mean, because it's not entirely relevant for this video. We all know that in a broad sense, they basically mean the same thing, but there are some connotations with each one that are vastly different. What I mainly want to talk about today are the things that make anime, in particular, unique from Western animation and especially American cartoons, because that's what I grew up with. Just the things that make anime distinct from those things. So those are the ground rules. Without further ado, here's my first point. While certainly not true in all circumstances, Western animation has made a habit of falling back on flash animation, a more computerized and simplified method of creating cartoons. While this isn't necessarily a bad thing, cartoons just feel different when you use a more plastic, stiff type of animation like Flash instead of using traditional hand-drawn cell animation. The characters don't move smoothly, it seems more jumpy. You can certainly notice a difference when certain parts of the frame are completely static while other parts are moving at lightning speeds. This sort of dissonance is very jarring if Flash is not used properly or if it's done hastily without a proper attention to detail. Anime, on the other hand, has been sticking to its guns, using traditional cell animation the same way they've been doing it for years and years and years, since the 1900s. Although it's much more difficult and time-consuming, the end product feels a lot more natural, fluid, and generally more easy to take in. This is not to say that anime has not stepped outside the box to create different moods and art styles. They will sometimes use Flash or even CG. However, it's notable that many times when this is done, the end product never comes across with favorable opinions from viewers. In summary, I think it's fair to say that neither one is intrinsically better than the other. However, the use of one over the other tends to distinguish style rather clearly. There's a particular style of animation known as sakuga, and it's kind of difficult to describe in its entirety, so we'll just revert back to the definition for now. Sakuga is a term used in anime to describe moments in a show or a movie when the quality of the animation improves drastically, typically for the sake of making a dramatic point or enlivening the action. While perfectly fine as a clinical definition, it's hard for one to fully explain its purpose because of how nebulous that purpose can be, changing with the art style, animators, source material, etc. It can be used to make action scenes more intense, but it can also be used in subtler moments to really call attention to key elements of the scene. All in all, sakuga is a way to exemplify actions being performed or events being carried out. This is a thing used so rarely in Western animation. So much of Western animation is subdued, slow-moving, and rather dry in its animation. But this isn't always a product of laziness. It's more an acknowledgement of who these shows are for. With anime, these shows are widespread. There's all kinds of different shows for all kinds of different demographics, but the demographics for Western cartoons are basically divided into children and adults, with SpongeBob and Family Guy and The Amazing World of Gumball and South Park. These shows are meant to be watched by a particular audience, and knowing your audience is a huge part of making a show. So here's the thing I don't see talked about too much. In cartoons, the way characters are designed generally leaves out a very important question. What happens if the character looks straight at the camera? I'm sure you've noticed by now, but a huge majority of shots in many cartoons are 3/4 shots. This is pretty necessary for cartoons because if we have a profile shot, we miss half the face and thus lose sight of the details that can be told by facial expressions. And for some reason, straight ahead shots are unnaturally rare. to the point where if it turns up, it's rather disheartening. For some reason, cartoonists don't always have a style that allows for this. Anime, on the other hand, does it masterfully. Anime characters have different facial structures for each orientation, and in stark contrast to cartoons, front-facing seems to be front and center, if you will. This has mainly to do with the largely homogeneous style that anime tends to have. Although shows always look different, the structure is largely borrowed from other previous works, leading to its current but not final apex in today's anime. So these were just a few things that I found notable as far as differences between Western cartoons and anime. Let me know what differences you've seen in the comments below, and as always, thanks for watching.